All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Talking Football NFL live stream, or NFL Draft live stream, rather. Let's get ready to go. I'm going to make sure that everything's up and ready to go on YouTube. We're going to verify all that stuff, and then we'll get right into it. We have around an hour-ish before, like, the draft pre-party starts, pretty much, before they actually start to get into the drafting. There's a lot of rumors going around. We're going to talk about all that stuff. You guys have questions, put them in the chat. I will gladly answer them. I just want to make sure the volume is good. All right, the volume is fine. That's good. We're just going to look on YouTube really quick, look on IG, and then we'll get pretty much right into it. I just want to make sure everything's good. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you all for joining. I'm going to do my best to try and keep the tab open. Again, I'm a little rusty. Okay. This is my first live stream really in a little bit. So I think we're okay on YouTube. We're going to look on Instagram. I did post a story there. It looks like we're up and ready to go. And yeah, let's just get right into it. Why don't we? Again, you guys have questions about prospects. I will answer them. I'm not going to do this for day 2 or day 3, though. This is my only day doing this, so hopefully we get a good amount of viewership in. And you know what? Why don't we just get right into it, right? I mean, we have around 58 minutes, so let's start with my dogs, all right? And actually, before I do that, I should, again, like I told you guys, I'm a little rusty. So we're going to have a bottom ticker here, and I usually have a top ticker. We're going to have a bottom ticker. This is going to have the order of the NFL draft. Obviously, you can see on this one, or here, right here, it only goes up to 16. I have 2 separate tickers, and I'm going to flip them back and forth, though, and lift that up a little bit so you guys can see that. And I'm going to make sure that it's good to go on the actual live stream. It looks, or like on my phone, it looks like we should be good as long as this isn't lagging too much. I think then we should be okay. It looks like we're good. So let's just get right into it. Why don't we? Let's talk about my dog. So I meant to post an Emeka Egbuka vlog, and I, you know what I mean. I meant to post an Emeka Egbuka post, and I never did, and I apologize for that. I wanted to get to it, and I totally forgot. Obviously, NBA playoffs are going on. I've been totally wrapped up in that, and obviously scouting for the draft, so that is my fault. We did get 2 posts out, though, on this. We got one for Will Johnson, one for Colston Loveland, which has actually been doing pretty good. We got over 1,000 views on that one, which is always nice to see. Or I think it's at 1,300-ish last time I checked, so that's always nice to see shorts doing well. So let's just talk about these dogs right here. So obviously Will Johnson is one of them. Let's just talk about him. Will Johnson is super underrated, criminally underrated in my opinion. That he's a stud. Okay, certified baller right there from Michigan. And he's a great player. Okay, I think he's very resemblant of Derek Stingley from the Texans, who was an all-pro corner this year and arguably the best corner in all of football. I mean, or top 3, definitely. I mean, Surtain. I don't know if there's a better one. I mean, if you guys think there's a better corner than Stingley, put them in the chat. I don't think he's better than Sauce, definitely. Then that's something that's definitely interesting. So that's something to keep an eye on with Will Johnson. You know, can he play like Derek Stingley? Where is he supposed to go? In Mock Draft 2.0, I have him going to the Niners. So I think that's a good fit for him, West Coast kind of offense. So I guess we'll see what happens there with Will Johnson. He is very physical. Obviously, this past year had a lot of injuries, didn't play a lot. Doesn't discount the fact that he's already an All-American. He's an absolute stud. That goes without saying. And I love Will Johnson a lot, okay? So if your team gets Will Johnson, then you should be blessed, okay? Because he is an absolute stud, Will Johnson, okay? Next up, Colston Loveland, another Michigan Wolverine. Loveland, keep an eye on him. He could maybe go higher than Warren, which would be very interesting to see. I don't think he's better than Warren, but that is something that is definitely better, or that's something that could definitely happen there. Loveland is 6'5", almost is like a receiver in a way. He is very underrated in this draft class, in my opinion. I mean, there's not a lot of players that are better than him. He's very physical, great leadership. He's definitely very good as a player. I like him a lot. Got very secure hands. He's a really solid route runner. I'm a little concerned with his blocking, and I think that's kind of a given his frame a little bit. He's a little bit thinner than normal. Compare him to Tyler Warren, who is a absolute utility. Loveland, not so much. I think that's something that we can definitely see there with Colston Loveland. Lastly, last dog is Emeka Egbuka. Without a doubt, this dude's a freaking stud. Okay, I love Emeka Egbuka. Definitely the second best wide receiver in this draft class behind T-Mac from Arizona. Great route runner, can play really outside slot in the backfield, wherever you want. And I said that in my wide receiver scouting reports as well. I see Skull Vikings in the chat as always. If the Vikings, who have a Rams offense with KOC there, they use Jefferson. He goes in the backfield a lot, and that's something that definitely happens. So hypothetically, if the Vikings went after Egbuka, I don't know if he'd be there. Let's say he is. He could definitely play in the backfield, and not on every play, but there are some times where they come out in the gun, they go double running back, or double back, I should say, rather, where you have Aaron Jones on one side and you have Justin Jefferson on the other side. Egbuka can play in that role, absolutely, and that's something without a doubt that can happen there. Even with the Rams, same thing. Kyren Williams on one side, you got Egbuka on the other. Not that he would fall to 26, but if he does, something to keep an eye on there, absolutely. So those are my dogs. You guys have dogs, put them in the chat right now. I see a lot of you guys are commenting, which is great. But yeah, Egbuka, Loveland, and Will Johnson. So if you see them get drafted, it's like, oh, that's one of Talking Football's dogs. Just something to keep an eye on. I do see that the Browns are open for business, which is very interesting. I'm very surprised that they are willing. I mean, for the last 2 or 3 days, they haven't been they have not been open for business. They've been very closed for business, and now they're wide open for no reason. So someone must have put in a very interesting offer. And speaking of the trade block, and I wanted to make a note of this, and I wrote this down on my notepad here. Let's talk about Ashton Jeanty really quick. Okay, so all of a sudden, Jeanty's going to go number 5 to the Jaguars, and in my opinion, that's BS. That's not going to happen. I do not see that. I don't see that happening. Okay, I don't. It's just not something that's realistic. Personally, if I'm looking at Jeanty, if I'm the Jags, I'm saying, oh, I absolutely love Ashton Jeanty. And then you call up the Bears, call Brian Poles, and you say, oh, we love Ashton Jeanty so much. He's such a good player. We're gonna have him on our team. You're not. The Bears are like, oh man, we really just need a running back for Caleb. All right, we'll give you, whatever you want. Just drop the price. We're going absolutely all in. And I think that's something that needs to be talked about. The Jaguars are playing chess, okay? In my opinion, I don't know what you guys were thinking. Jeanty's not going to the Jags. If he goes top 5, like I see Skull Vikings, you said, he's going to be a Bear, okay? No one else is going to trade up to number 5 for a running back. I don't think it's a great idea for the Bears to trade up to number 5. I don't think it makes sense. They're not in a spot to trade up. They need the depth in a rebuilding with a rebuilding team. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But again, that's something that we can still see. Does it happen? Maybe. That's what I'm not sure about. And I think that's something that needs to be talked about as we come down the stretch. I mean, we're 50 minutes away from start time. I think Jacksonville is trying to beat Chicago. I don't think that they're really trying to. I personally don't think they're really trying to take Jeanty. I had them taking Mason Graham in 2.0. I think in 1.0 I had them taking Graham as well. If they're going to trade back, they're not. I mean, the Bears are probably going to be the one to trade up and take Jeanty. But I don't think Jacksonville's taking Jeanty. I just don't see it happening. It's just not realistic. The Jaguars stink. Okay, they are not a good team. And a running back will not fix the situation. It will not fix the situation at all. It's just not something that's going to happen. It will not happen, okay? It's just not something that will occur. They're not in a spot to draft a running back, especially when you already have ETN. It makes no sense whatsoever. It doesn't make any sense when you already have ETN. There's no reason for you to take a guy like Jeanty. Maybe in the 2nd or 3rd round, maybe if they like a guy like Scatterbo, maybe they make a move there. There's no reason, though, overall to take a guy like Jeanty at number 5, especially when you have a guy like Mason Graham, Jahdae Barron's there, Will Johnson's there, Colston Loveland, Tyler Warren, ton of offensive linemen, whether it's Membao or Campbell or I can't think of any others off the top of my head, or Banks from Texas. There's a lot of guys there that could definitely be a better option than a guy like Ashton Genty. Other than that, I haven't heard much. I mean, we're still waiting on what's going to go on with the Browns. We do know that they're open for business, and we do know that maybe around an hour ago they made a trade with the Texans. So, and I obviously kept the trade details out of it because it was a very minor trade. It was not a very interesting trade. If I remember right, I believe the Texans traded 2 of their 5th-round picks for two sixth round picks and a 7th, which is a terrible deal for the Texans and a great deal for the Browns. I don't know why the Texans would do that. And the reason why I think they're doing that is because 5th-round picks are sweeteners. What's a sweetener? Thanks for asking. A sweetener, simply put, is when you're trying to trade back into the first round and you need extra picks. The Browns are at 33. Let's just say they go with Travis Hunter. That's what the consensus is saying, excuse me. That's likely what's going to happen. Okay, fine, fair enough. So they go with Hunter at 2. Now you're left without a quarterback because Watson sucks and Flacco's old. You're not going to rock with those guys. And you have Kenny. I think they traded for Kenny Pickett. He stinks too. That quarterback room sucks. So now you need to adjust. How are you going to adjust? You do that by trading back into the first round. But who do you trade for? There's a couple of guys. Milroe, Dart, Sanders. I don't really know. And Tyler Shogg, who sucks, but he's been getting a lot of talk recently for no reason. You trade back into the first round with those 5th-round picks. I mean, you can get a 2nd, maybe a 4th, and maybe one of those 5ths, maybe both those 5ths. Maybe that should maybe get you up to, let's say, 24 with the Vikings, because I know they're interested in trading back. That is something that can definitely happen. And maybe they go with Milroe, and now you have an offense that is led by Jalen Milroe or Jackson Dart or whatever quarterback, instead of a guy like Watson who sucks, Kenny Pickett who also sucks, and Joe Flacco who's old and also sucks. So then you have a quarterback room that sucks less because you have Jalen Milroe. Okay, sorry for being harsh on the Browns, but when you have been so horrible for 20 years, you deserve to get punished a little bit in this live stream. What else? I don't think I personally don't think the Texans needed to make this trade. I don't know if they just wanted a later round pick. I do know they're interested in trading up. For who? Not sure. Part of me thinks it's Igbokwe, given Tank Dell's injury history and given that you only have Nico Collins. I do like Xavier Hutchinson, but I don't think he's good enough to be a stable wideout 2. I think he's a fine wideout 3, but he's not good enough to stay there. How long is Christian Kirk going to be there? I don't really know. That's something that we need to see. But other than that, I don't really know. I think that's kind of interesting for the Texans. A great trade for the Browns. Terrible for the Texans. That's just how it goes. This is based on what I remember. I'm pretty sure it was the 2 5ths for the 6th and a 7th, or 2 6ths and a 2nd. Holy cow. 2 6th rounders and a 7th rounder. Sorry, I'm saying a lot of things really quickly. It is 7:15 basically. So we are 45 minutes away from the NFL draft. Thank you all for joining again. What are we going to do next? There's a lot of things that I want to talk about, and I don't want to go through them too quickly. And let's put the first order back up in case you guys missed that. Also, while we're here, might as well say it. Follow my IG. It's at Talking Football Pod, because the draft is here and I want to start posting more there. Almost like if you guys follow Catch the Blitz, almost like them. I want to post like they do, where they not only have a podcast but also have an Instagram page. That's something I want to do. So make sure if you aren't following, definitely follow. I'm going to try and post first round grades soon after today. So definitely keep an eye on that. Again, it's Talking Football Pod on Instagram. So definitely check that out, because I will try and post there a little bit more often. So on the rumor mill, there's nothing new yet based on what I know. We're still waiting. And again, this is a little bit different because I usually don't do anything like this. I feel like I did a franchise tag stream. We're still waiting to hear out of Cleveland. I know that they just opened up for business, so I don't think anything else is new from that standpoint. But again, I guess we'll have to see. I will look it up to make sure, because I have nothing new on my phone. I don't believe that they're looking to, or that they have they made progress in anything. Now, who would be a potential option to trade up? That's what we don't know. Okay, and I think that's what I want to talk about next. So, if you guys bear with me here for a second as I do a quick change over here and I load this up for you guys to see who would maybe want to trade up, who would be willing to here you go. Who would be willing to trade up? Let's take a look. Okay. There's a couple of teams that want to trade up. Obviously, disregard the Browns here in this situation because there's no reason for them to trade up to their own pick. That doesn't make any sense. As I put this down here. So who's going to trade up? So the Giants are obviously a good option here. I think that I personally don't think the Browns are going to move out of number 2, but I think it's more for show and to see what's there because we know how the Browns operate. The Giants are an option, and I know it would be a very interesting thing to do, but they could absolutely trade up one spot to lock in Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, whoever they want. They could absolutely do that. How much would that be? That's what I don't know, and I think that's something that we need to see whether or not it would be. Would it just be pick 99 that would get you up one spot? Would it, if you were taking Hunter, would it be more than that? Would you maybe have to add in 99, maybe a 5th rounder? How much would it be to get up that one spot to number 2 to pick over Cleveland? That's definitely someone or team to look out for here as the draft comes in closer. The Bears, I don't think they're that aggressive, and this is something that they would have done way beforehand. I feel like they would have traded up to number 2 a lot earlier. This is number 2 is not something that happens on draft night. It's really not. I think it's more for show. Philly, something tells me that they're going to try and trade up to number 2. We already know they've been trying to trade up. Howie Roseman's trying to get a ton of deals done recently. So we already know that that's the case there. So that's that. Excuse me. Sorry. It's a lot of talking in the last 18 minutes, just trying to stay hydrated here. So something tells me that they're going to try and trade up to number 2. And that would be bonkers. I mean, that would be a lot of draft capital to move to trade up. I feel like we heard rumors about A.J. Brown getting traded, and the Browns, anyone could use A.J. Brown. That would be an interesting thing to think about. I mean, I don't know who they would necessarily want from Philly, but they have pick 32, maybe 32, maybe their second rounder this year, maybe their first rounder and their second rounder next year, maybe another second round the year after. But not to be funny, that it almost feels like a bargain for the Eagles because figure they're going to be Super Bowl contenders for the next 2 or 3 years, and if not longer than that. I'm just looking in the near future. Those picks are going to be 25 to 32, and not that they have no value, but you guys at that point you're starting to take second round guys. Guys who are going to be first round guys, but they probably could be taken in the second round. And I think that's something that the Browns probably wouldn't want to do. Would they really want to trade all the way back? Now, this could also be something where maybe the Browns use those picks. Maybe they use those picks to trade up because then again, you're not really losing anything. You're just using what you already had. I'm not going to make a bold prediction that Philly is going to trade up from 30 spots to 2. But if there's anyone that's calling, it's got to be Howie Roseman. He's got to be calling. I mean, we haven't seen like a Ricky Williams type thing in a really long time, obviously, where you trade every single one of your picks for one pick. But we already know Carter has roots. We already know it would be for Abdul Carter. We already know that Carter has roots in Philly. He obviously went to Penn State. He grew up a Philly fan. He just loves the Eagles. We knew that, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to put it aside if I play for the Giants." I don't buy that personally. I think I mean obviously you're going to have to, but I guess we'll have to wait and see how that happens. But that's the thing. I think it's an interesting proposition for the Eagles. Are you willing to trade up 30 picks for a guy like that? We also know the Texans want to trade up and the Broncos want to trade up. Again, is it realistic that they want to trade? Is it realistic that they want to trade for the Texans 23 spots up? Broncos, it would be 18 spots up. I'm pretty sure they're pick 20, if I'm not mistaken, or 21. They're pick 20. So that's another thing to kind of ponder about. I don't think that they would want to trade up that far, but again, we can kind of see how that works. That is not what we want. We don't want the Cam Ward report. While we're here, might as well think about who is going to trade back. So I think that the Saints are an obvious team that would want to trade back. I thought they were going to go with Sanders fully, 100%, no doubt. Obviously, that prediction has gone upside down. It doesn't look like they're going to be doing that anymore. And apparently they want to trade back and get draft capital. I don't blame them. The Saints are the worst team in the NFL, in my opinion. I think anybody could beat them by double-digit points at this point. They're just not good. So you got to build. So how do you build? You build by trading back, building up draft capital. It's a top 10 pick, and that's what they should be thinking about. We're not trading like a dumb pick. We're trading a pick in the top 10. So that's something to think about. Vikings is an obvious choice here. I think they have 4 or 5 picks, if I'm not mistaken, obviously, because they traded up a lot. They traded up not only into the first round, and then they traded up again in the first round twice. They could absolutely end up doing that maybe. If that were to happen, I'm not totally sure, but it's something that could happen. That would be a very interesting thing to see. Since the Vikings traded up, I feel like I just repeated myself like 3 or 4 times. The Vikings last year traded up from the second round into the first round with Houston. Then they traded up from that pick again. I think they had 11 and 23 coming into the draft, I'm pretty sure. And then they ended up or maybe 12 and 23 is what it was. Then they traded up to 10 and I don't know why I'm blanking here. They had pick 10 and pick 17, I'm pretty sure, 16 when they took McCarthy and Dallas Turner. So they could definitely use the extra picks. They're the perfect or the perfect team to trade up with if you're Cleveland or you're the Giants and you want to add another quarterback. So that's definitely something that can happen there. Jacksonville, we already know they are interested in trading down. How far they want to trade down, we don't know yet, but that's something that can definitely happen. They could definitely use the extra draft capital, and I'll get to a point later about why they would want to trade down from number 5. And the Panthers, we already know they want to trade down and add some draft capital. We think that right now, I don't know why they wouldn't want to go with T-Mac from Arizona, but we'll wait and see. They could maybe go defense there too. There's really not a bad pick there. They can go T-Mac, they can go Jalen Walker. There's a lot of good guys there, or a lot of solid players there to go with at number 8 there, but they could definitely end up trading back. So that's something to keep an eye on for as we get closer to the draft. We're about 35 minutes away from when the draft is supposed to start. So that's definitely something to keep your eye on. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. Let's look at the Browns. I don't believe they have anything new. And it looks like they don't, but they have multiple options on the table is what we are seeing right now. Mary Kay Cabot says the Browns are believed to have something cooking at number 2. Teams are calling, they're listening, and strap in. So that's something definitely interesting. She's very reliable. I don't know why they would want to trade out of 2 because, and let me just make a point of this right now, okay? Because this is a class that, in my personal opinion, is not very good. Okay, I don't think it's that good to begin with. It's all right. I have in my notes right here. Draft class is unexciting and does not move me. It doesn't it's not. Let's talk about who's actually good. And because this is something that needs to be kind of talked about as I change the bottom ticker really quick. Like recent years, this draft class or draft classes have been very good. Last year was amazing. Last year had a really good. It was very deep, good quarterback class, solid receivers. It was just a really solid, good overall draft class. Okay, it gave you everything you needed. It struggled in some areas, but let's be real, it was a pretty solid draft class for what it's worth. And the thing is about this draft class, I'm not sure if it's NIL or what it is, but it's like it just is kind of blah. It's like kind of boring. And here's what I mean. Let me show my screen, and let me show you Mock Draft 2.0, so you guys can get a feel of what I mean. And here we go. Okay, so we see here Cam Ward going number 1, and I have no problem with Cam Ward. Okay, we know he's a good quarterback. We've known that for a while now. But number 1? I mean, like, he's good, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be number 1 in this class, but last year he would have been probably mid first, late first. I mean, he wasn't better than Caleb, May, or Daniels. Definitely wasn't. And I'm talking about if he played the way he did this year. Not higher than Williams, not higher than May, not higher than Daniels. I don't think he'd be higher than Nix. Maybe Penix. Maybe Penix, but I thought Penix was better than him coming out of Washington. I think Penix is better coming out of Washington than Ward is coming out of Miami. So that's interesting to think about. Hunter's great. Carter's great. Membao he's good. He's good. Gentie's good. Graham's good. But this is what I mean. Like Campbell's solid. But you have guys like Sanders and Hampton, and I know this is a mock draft, and obviously it might not happen, but I feel like it's a lot of, maybe I'm hating, but I feel like it's a class that's it's all right. It's not, you know what, here, maybe I overreacted. There. This draft class is meh. How about that? I think that works a little bit better. It's an all right class. It's just it doesn't blow you away in really any way, shape, or form. If we're going to be honest, it really doesn't. And that's just it's just the way sometimes it is, and I don't know if it's NIL, like I said, but again, that's something that we need to see as we go on. I don't see anything new in the chat. That's totally cool. And yeah, we are around a half an hour away from the draft, and as we get way closer, when we come back from a quick break, I'm gonna go over mock draft 2.0 so you guys know who I think is gonna go where, and we are going to go through some buy sell situations, and we're gonna go through some other things as well. So definitely don't change the channel. We will be back right after this. All right, we are back. That is much better. I apologize. I totally bombed the lighting there. Got some lights on, so now it's a little bit brighter in here. It got really dark really quickly, so that's totally my fault. Yeah, that was very, very dark. But like I said, we are going to go. We're going to go back to mock draft 2.0. Again, I appreciate you guys for getting a really good amount of support there on the mock drafts. They've been doing. They did pretty well. Mock draft 1.0 is the best performing video on my channel. I've never had a video perform as well as it did. Mock draft 2.0 was good. It was all right. I thought it would be a little bit better, but you know what? I'm not going to complain because I think that we still got a good audience. So I appreciate that from you guys for supporting it and commenting. Because this is totally new to me. I mean, I've never, holy cow, I've never done a mock draft on camera. At least I've done mock drafts before, but I've never done mock drafts on camera until this year, and they did well. So I appreciate you guys a lot for that. Scouting reports as well, they did pretty well. And again, I scout every year, but I usually just do scouting. So I'm like, oh, I know who's going to get it taken here. Or if I know, I'll be like, oh, okay, I know him. He stinks. Or I know him. Excuse me. He's good. So we know that's the thing. Excuse me. Woof, to think about. And now I finally did on camera for this year, and it went really well. So I appreciate you guys for doing that. So let's get into mock draft 2.0 here as I show this on screen. So this, if you guys watched mock draft 2.0, it's the exact same. Nothing new, nothing different happened. Now, this was also, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago when I did this. I don't even remember. But this video is definitely interesting. And relative to my other, relative to now, rather, rumors have changed a lot. Okay, so we have Ward going number 1, Hunter number 2, and Carter number 3. I don't think that changes. I think that stays the same. Now, if I could lock in some targets here, I would like to lock in Campbell to the Jets if I could. If Will Campbell is there, they're not going to pass up on him, in my opinion. I just don't see that happening. I think Egbuka probably ends up with the Cowboys. See, the thing is, what's interesting, you guys can see, I'm looking at Tyler Warren here, and I have no idea where he's going to go, because he could go as high as number 5 to the Jags if they're feeling interesting, maybe to the Jets too, maybe Panthers. Maybe. I mean, do the Niners? Let's talk about this for a second. On the subject of tight ends, do the Niners? Holy cow! Do the Niners trade or take Tyler Warren and trade George Kittle? I don't think it happens, but it could. And I think that's another thing to think about on draft day. There are so many things to think about. And I think that's really interesting here as we progress, and we're around a half an hour away from the draft. And it's very interesting. I don't think there's really much new. There's not really, that'd be interesting to see. Schefter has just reported that he expects explosives with how the top picks in the NFL draft unfold. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means trades. I don't know if that means that we're going to see a punter get taken in the top 5, probably by the Giants. That's the thing that I don't know what we're going to see right now. And I guess that's something that we'll have to wait until for the next half an hour for. But yeah, there's a lot of things that can go on. I do see Jazz in the chat. I don't think Sanders goes 9. That is the one thing I will talk about right now. I personally don't think he would go number 9 right here. I think that's the one thing I would change, is that Sanders would not go number 9 to the Saints. I think he probably falls in that like 18 to 27 range, somewhere there. I think is probably a little bit more accurate for where he's going to land. That I would change. I don't think Hampton goes number 10 anymore. I think that probably changes. I think Travion Henderson might find his way into the first round. I think Siobhan Ravel right here from ECU, I think he definitely finds his way into the first round. I think we see a good amount of edge rushers get taken. Carter's going to go. As I'm just looking at this really quickly. Mike Green's going to definitely go. Walker should definitely go. Stewart should go. Pierce probably should go. Williams should go. And Izaraku should definitely go as well. So that would be 6 or 7 edge rushers, which is insane. We usually have not. This is a very deep class in terms of edge rushers. It's very good in that region, without a doubt. I mean, it is very, very, very good. And you know what? While we're in everyone else, I mean, if you're a fan of your team and you're like, oh, can you break this down a little bit more? I'll absolutely do that. I'll leave this up, but I want to talk about this right here. I disagree with this. I don't agree with this at all. I don't think the draft starts at 6. I think it starts at 3. Personally, I think the Giants are the team that sets the tone. If they go hypothetical, if they go dart, that sets the tone. They are looking at total offense. They don't care about how good their defense is. They're going to rely on Thibodeau. They are going to build with Thibodeau, with Burns, with Dex on that defensive line. They're going to rely on guys like Adebo and Holland and those signings in the defensive end. They're going to hope that Wandale breaks out. That's with Dart. Sanders, you're taking a big swing, big personality, someone who is viewed as not a lot. His stock has gone way down, and I'll talk about that before the stream is over. Stock has gone way, way, way down. And you know, it's that's really interesting. If they would go with Sanders, do they go Hunter if he's there? Do they go Carter if he's there? If they go Carter, you got an insanely ferocious defensive front there with Carter, Thibodeau, maybe. I don't know if he'd get traded. Burns, Dexy, they added Chauncey Golston. You have McFadden, Okereke. So I think the draft starts at 3. Last year, really, it started at really, it started at 2 because you didn't know who not really actually. Where did the draft start last year? Maybe at maybe it was 5 where the draft started, because you knew that the 3 quarterbacks were going to go there, and you knew that Harrison was going to go to the Cardinals. So maybe, you know what? Maybe the draft started at 5 because they didn't know if the Chargers would go with all. Because if they went with Neighbors, then the Giants would have traded back, which would have been insanely interesting to see how that would have turned out. But I don't agree with this. I don't think that the draft starts at 6 personally. I don't agree with that. But yeah, I think this is my. If you guys have any questions about your, I know. I think I said, if I'm not mistaken, I saw Skull Vikings say something about Malachi Starks. Starks is another interesting player right here. Safety out of Georgia. He's absolutely a top 10 player in this draft class, maybe even top 10. He is a stud, certified, 100%. All-American, if I'm not mistaken. But this is the safety, like your traditional football positions, your safeties, your running backs, your middle linebackers, they don't carry as much value as they used to. Not linebackers, middle linebackers still hold value, but like your ground and pounds are no longer a thing anymore. Tight ends don't hold the value they did either, like say 10 years ago. If you had a good tight end, you were a great team. Good running back, great team. Good safeties, great team. Now you're looking, you need to have a lockdown corner. You need to have a super flashy wide receiver. You need to have an amazing, well, obviously quarterback is kind of a given, but I think that's something that could definitely happen. And whether or not Starks falls to 24 or not, I think he should be there. I don't know why. I don't think there'd be a team that would take him, but we saw a few years ago, or 3 years ago now at this point, I think Kyle Hamilton was taken in 2021. The Ravens traded like almost 20 spots, I'm pretty sure, to get Kyle Hamilton. No team is going to do that for Malachi Starks in this class, and it's not a thing against Starks or even Nick Emmanuel from South Carolina. If you guys don't know him, he's I don't think he's as good as Starks, but he's definitely he's borderline first round caliber. There's not a team trading up for Starks. It's just not going to happen, right? It's not. There are teams that are not built for trading up for a safety. And I think the Vikings could probably end up going interior offensive line. They could probably go defensive line, maybe, if they want to beef it up even a little bit more. Maybe edge rusher if they wanted to combo someone with Van Ginkel, Grenard, and Turner. I don't know if you initially need to. Maybe corner. You can look here at the mock. I have Trey Amos from Ole Miss, and you have a Ravel who should be there. He is coming off an ACL, I think, so that's definitely a big injury concern. But that's something that could happen. Maybe I don't think Will Johnson falls that far. He's a dog, as you guys can see in the chat. That's something that could definitely happen. I think the Vikings probably end up going with Starks there, or some kind of guy in the secondary, because it's very, very, very depleted, and they need to kind of reassure that group there. That video in Foxborough was straight fire. You're right. Very good observation there. But yeah, that's how we're gonna wrap up mock draft 2.0. I feel like I'm drinking a lot of water. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get through this. Little rusty. Let's talk about what should we do next. Should we do risers and fallers, or should we do buys and sells? Let's do risers and fallers. So who has risen and who has fallen over the last few weeks? And there are quite a few risers that we should talk about as I pull this up on your guys' on your screens. Let's look at this. Recent risers show on stream. There you go. So here are your recent risers. You can see here all of these guys have had their stock go up, in my opinion, at least. Definitely the first few have had their stock go up. And in a wild turn of events, let's talk about Tyler Shogg, I think is how you say his name, from Louisville. I don't understand the hype around him. I don't think he's good. I don't think he's that good. He's going to turn 26, I'm pretty sure, in September. He struggles under pressure. He throws the ball away way too often. His arm is okay. Obviously he's mature. He's already 26, but that's something I don't really know about, I guess, and that's something that we need to see. I don't think I don't think he's good, and I think if the Giants were to trade up in the first round, I'd be very angry, and I think that would be the worst move of night one, without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt. That would be undoubtedly the worst pick of night one. If they traded up, if you use draft capital that you can use somewhere else to get Tyler Shogg, who is 25, like, that is just horrible. Not saying that he's not going to be okay in his NFL career. I think he's a career backup. If they do that, I am going to be very angry because there's no goal for him. By the time he's going to, let's just say the Giants trade up, or let's just say the Browns trade up. I think the expectation for the Browns is, or the Rams. I know the Rams are interested in him too. If the Rams traded up in the first round, or just stayed at 26, and they took Tyler Shogg, that would be the stupidest move ever because you just re-signed Matthew Stafford to a contract extension. By the time Stafford is retiring and Shogg is playing, he's going to be 28 or 29. You have 2 good years of his prime left. That is a big waste. Big waste. When I'm scouting, I'm looking at how old you are. If you're old, you are automatically not a good prospect. That's why last year, I don't think I did any scouting reports on Talking Football here. But personally, I think I like Drake May a little bit more. Or I like Daniels more as a prospect, but I think Drake May was like 2 or 3 years younger. Those are 2 or 3 years that you could say for your prime. Daniels is 23 or 24. That's another thing I didn't like about Bo Nix, even though he's a stud. Don't get me wrong. I liked him coming out. I thought he was a little old. Penix was the same problem there. So definitely Tyler Shogg, not a fan of. Genty, he has risen way up. I mean, we already knew he was good. He went way up recently, and I think it's because of the trade rumors that we've seen. That is something that has happened. Is he going to go in the top 5? I don't think that's the right move. He's definitely good. I don't think he's that good, but that's something we can definitely see there with Ashton Genty. Jackson Dart, he has solidified himself as the QB2 in this draft class, and I know my QB scouting reports say otherwise. I have Sanders over Dart, but now the tides are shifting. I think Dart's a better player, and I think that has changed a lot. And because not only does Dart present better, Sanders, I feel like Dart is also younger too. When I just mentioned the thing about age, Dart has definitely gone way up boards. Something tells me that the Browns might pull some draft day shenanigans and go with Jackson Dart number 2. I don't know why. They did that with Mayfield a few years ago, and I think it was Peter Schrager who was talking. I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw a short of his, or a reel, and he said whatever comes out of Foxborough, I don't trust it. I'll get to that point in a second. He said, whoever he was talking to said, "Why don't you trust him?" And he said, Elliot Wolf, who is the de facto GM there, he lies. He does not give you what you expect. And he knows this because Elliot Wolf was in that front office in Cleveland in 2018 when it was going to be Sam Darnold. No doubt. There was no question about it was going to be Sam Darnold. Then it was Baker Mayfield. And I think that's something that could happen. We already know Cleveland could maybe do that. We know Jimmy Haslam likes to shake things up a little bit, which would be I don't think that anything would happen yet with that, but that would be very interesting to see if they would do that. And if that actually happens, I will make this a short and I will say I called it. Next up, Colston Loveland. You already know I love Colston Loveland. He's an absolute dog. Well, I didn't like him when Ohio State played him. I'm a Buckeye fan, in case you guys missed that. I think that Loveland is definitely rising up boards. I've seen a couple where he's over Tyler Warren. I think that would not be very wise, but then again, it depends on your situation. Are you in need of a receiver who is going to burn you vertically? Are you in need of a tight end who can be a utility guy? The Colts need a utility guy. That's why they need Tyler Warren more than Colston Loveland. The Chargers need a vertical guy. That's why they go with Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren. If that makes sense, great. Jalen Milroe has also found his way. He was a bona fide first-round pick. Then he was a bona fide third-round pick. Now he's kind of like a very early second, maybe a late first-round pick kind of guy, which is very interesting. And I think that's something that we can definitely see. Do the Giants trade up? Do the Browns trade up? Do the Rams take him out? Because Milroe is young, and Milroe could get maybe 2-3 years underneath Stafford, maybe 1 to 2, depending on how long Stafford wants to play. And Milroe, at age, say, I think he's 21 right now, if I'm not mistaken. And let me just verify that right now. Milroe is 20. Oh, he's 22, actually. Oh, he's a little older than I thought he was. Okay. He's going to turn 23 then. Milroe's older than I thought he was. Okay. I thought Milroe was way younger. Besides the point. Milroe will be roughly 25. You have around 7, 8 years of him playing really well. Obviously, his mobility is going to come down a little bit in that time. But I still think that we see Milroe can definitely be a guy who you see can be traded up for. Egbuka, same thing. Excuse me. I've seen his stock go up. But the thing is, his draft spot fluctuates, and it's not because his stock has gone up, but his draft spot is different in almost every mock draft. I've seen him as late as the Eagles at 32. I've seen him as early as the Panthers at 8. I don't think he's. I think T-Mac's better personally, but I think that's something that we'll have to see. That really depends on what happens there. And that's something that we can definitely see. Egbuka maybe to the Bears. I think the Texans might want to trade up for him with the CJ Stroud connection. So that's something we can definitely see there. And Jalen Walker, who was really a late first rounder, now I've seen him all the way up to 7 with the Jets. I think he would fit the best with the Panthers, though, if they were to make that move. So those are your risers and fallers there. We have around 13 minutes left before the draft starts, or before the show starts. The draft won't start until around 8:30. So I'm gonna look on the rumor front really quickly before we get into anything else. Do you think the Browns move from spot number 2? I don't think that. I personally don't think that. I don't think that's reasonable. I don't see a reason for them to do that. They have an opportunity to take a guy like Travis Hunter. I don't see a reason for them to do that. I just don't think that would make a lot of sense there. Let's see if there's anything new from the Browns front. With around 12 minutes now left, Jay Glazer says the Jaguars and Browns trade looks like it could go down, and talks are happening, but nothing done till it's done, obviously. So Jay Glazer is saying that the Jaguars and the Browns are working on something, which is not something I expected. I didn't think the Jaguars would trade up. I thought they would trade down. So that's definitely an interesting thing to think about with around 10 minutes before the draft starts. Who is going? I mean, this is nuts what's going on here. I did not think the Browns are going to be open for business. So I don't know if it's going to happen I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm looking. I don't see anything else new. Update from, hold on. We have NFL rumors. The Jaguars and trade. Oh, okay. No, same thing as Jay Glazer said. NFL rumors posted that as well. So it looks like it's going to be the Jaguars to trade up, which is very interesting. I did not expect that. Now, who are they trading up for? I have no idea who they're thinking about trading up for. I'm just going to type this in really quick. Working on second overall trade. Sorry. Okay. So let's talk about this. The Jags and the Browns are working on a trade for the second overall. So they're looking to trade up to number 2 from number 5, which is nuts. So who would the Jaguars look at? So I think it's got to be Hunter. They don't need Carter. I mean, obviously they already have Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen. There's no reason for them to trade up for Abdul Carter. I think at this point it's probably gonna be. I think it's probably gonna be. I just totally lost my train of thought. I think it's probably gonna be Hunter if the Jaguars trade up. I think we can lock in that number 2 is gonna be Travis Hunter. It's just a matter of who. It's just going to be a matter of who takes him, whether or not. And Jay Glazer says that it's looking like it's going to be the Jags. If there were going to be a trade, I think the Browns trading back would be so stupid. Personally, I don't see a reason for them to do that. I just don't think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I don't see anything new from that front. I think the Bears might try and trade up as well, so they're probably calling Cleveland. I don't think there's anything else from the rumor front. I don't think the Giants are looking to trade. I haven't heard anything else. Um, I I just don't think that any of that is willing to happen. I'm looking. I just don't see anything right now with around 10 minutes left before the draft starts, or now 9 minutes now. So let's move on to our buys and our sells. I will update you guys if anything new comes out. And let's do this. Buy or sell? Shadur Sanders falls out of the first round. I personally am going to sell this. I don't think he's going to fall out of the first round. He's going to be close. But I think that that's something that could definitely happen. It wouldn't surprise me if he did. It might be the Will Levis, where Levis was supposed to go number 4, and then he fell all the way to the first round. Here's the thing with Sanders. I think that he's a good quarterback. He definitely has the good fundamentals, but I don't think he's good enough to be that good. Like as a top 10 quarterback in this class. Top 10 draft pick, meaning I should clarify. I just don't see a world where he falls out of the first round. I think there's going to be someone to trade up for him. Whether I don't know who, someone's going to do it. I just don't know who it's going to be. And I think the Steelers are an interesting team. The Steelers are the team to look out for, absolutely, because they haven't signed Aaron Rodgers yet. I don't know what the holdup there is, but that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. Is that going to be the case where they go with the quarterback in case Rodgers doesn't sign for whatever reason? So I think Sanders, no chance he falls out of the first round. I just don't see that happening personally. Buy or sell? Genty goes in the top 5. I am personally going. I mean, I'm gonna buy like a little bit of it. I don't think it's like you're walking down like the soda aisle or whatever at the store, and you see like the 6-pack mini bottles, and you have the big 2-liter bottle. I'm buying like the 6-pack, like the tiny bottles. Probably, I think that's probably the best way to put it. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind it. I just don't think it's going to happen. I know that comparison probably makes no sense thinking about it now. I'm buying a little bit of it. I'm not going to buy a whole lot of it because I don't think it's necessary, but I think it's something that could definitely happen, and it might be needed for a team. Who would that team be? Chicago. Jacksonville is not taking Genty. Don't be fooled. The Jaguars they're trying to trade up for number 2. That means they want Hunter. They are not taking Genty, okay? Genty is not going to go in the top 5. He's probably going to fall out. I think the Raiders at 6 would be an interesting spot. We haven't heard any of that Raiders Genty buzz recently, though. The Bears like him a lot, obviously. We've heard. I just don't. Maybe the Cowboys. Maybe they don't really do that kind of stuff, but maybe that would be interesting to see. So I guess that's something to think about as we come down the stretch. Buy or sell? Tyler Shog buzz. I am selling this totally. I'm selling this for pennies on the dollar. Okay. This is a total smokescreen. No way anyone likes Tyler Shog. And I'm probably going to turn this into my Grant Calcaterra rant from the Super Bowl, where I was like, who is Grant Calcaterra? And then he caught a touchdown. And I'm like, oh, I look like an idiot now. Tyler Shog stinks, okay? And I'm not saying that he obviously I don't play football, and I know he's made it very far. He stinks. He's fundamentally he's He struggles under pressure. He is way too old. He relies way too much on athleticism, and that's another problem in itself. When you rely that much on your athleticism, and you're already 25, going to turn 26. You're only gonna have 3-4 more years left of you being consistently that good or that fast. It's not gonna last that long, okay? It really isn't. I think Tyler Shog stinks personally. If the Giants take him, I'm going to be very, 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 very angry. Okay, that I hope does not happen. Buy or sell? 5 trades, over or under 5 trades. So there's a lot of things going on. Obviously, you have the Jags. If the Jags trade up with the Browns, the Bears are not going to trade up. Maybe unless the Browns are trying to stockpile, which I don't think that would be necessary for them in this draft class, unless they're looking at someone specifically. I think I'm going to sell this. I think there's going to be 3 trades tonight. There's going to be one in the top 10, whether it's the Jags with the Browns or the Bears with the Jags. One of those 3 teams is going to move up or down. I think there's going to be some kind of late first round trade where you see with the Giants or the Browns or I don't know who else would want to trade it for a quarterback. Maybe the Rams maybe trade up for a quarterback they like. I don't know. Maybe the Titans pull a draft day stunner, go Carter #1, and then trade up for Milroe in the end of the first round. That's what we don't know. I think there's going to be around 3 trades and probably one of your typical trades where you trade up for, I don't know, like let's say the Dolphins trade up for Will Johnson or someone. I don't know. Like that's probably the most realistic thing at this point. As we approach with 4 minutes left before the draft starts, and I'm going to open up the chat now for some questions. Do the Vikings trade back? Only 4 picks in round 1. So I think that's probably going to happen. That's probably one. So maybe that's one of my 3. That's one of my 3 predictions right there. Probably that they end up trading back. It wouldn't surprise me if they got pennies on the dollar there. I just don't see them willingly taking a player there unless it's someone who you absolutely no doubt need to have. That's something that we need to see. And yeah, I just don't see them taking, or unless it's a guy like Starks or someone who fell like really, really far, I just don't see them going with a player there. Like he needs to be really good value, and Starks obviously has good value in mock draft 1.0 or in 2.0 as well. So we have about 3 minutes before the draft starts, and I'm going to do one more round of if the Browns are going to trade up. About 20 minutes ago, Glazer reported that the Jags and the Browns were working on that. Reported that they were working on that trade. Josina Anderson has just reported that the Browns have been in discussion at least since the top of this hour. So they have been working really, really, really hard to get something going here. Obviously, Browns fans are not very happy about this. They don't understand. Jeremy Fowler is reporting that the Browns are keeping phone lines open till they're on the clock, and then they'll be making their decision. So, okay, so that's good to know for you guys. If there's any Brown fans in here, I don't know if there are. If there are, sorry, I totally made fun of your team earlier, just to think about that. But I think that's definitely something to keep an eye on here. The Browns are going to keep their phone lines open until they're on the clock. So nothing is going to happen, or even when they're on the clock, nothing's going to happen until the Browns are on the clock, okay? I think that's probably what they're going to do. They're looking at, it looks like they're going to look at Hunter. I don't think they're looking at anyone else. It originally was Carter, but it doesn't look like they're going to look at anyone else. We have about 2 minutes-ish, and I'm going to do one more refresh because this is what everyone's talking about. I don't think there's anything else going on right now. I'm just trying to look. So someone just reported Mason Graham would be the Browns' target if they do trade back. This is very interesting. Mason Graham would fit in perfectly. They obviously just extended Myles Garrett. Wow, that would be very interesting. So it looks like it would be a Mason Graham swap for the Browns. It would be Mason Graham and Travis Hunter, which is exactly what I put in my mock draft, just with the team switched. So there's a minute left before the draft starts. I don't see anything else in the chat, which is totally cool. This is how I'm going to end this. Thank you all for watching and tuning in for to this. This is, amazing that you guys all tuned in. Thank you for all tuning in. I really enjoyed doing this. This is how we're going to end it. Enjoy the draft. I hope you guys have good picks. If not, sorry. If you do, great. This is Talking Football, and that's what I got to say about that.